Have you ever seen a border so twisted that people can change countries just by walking around their kitchen table? A place where a restaurant literally moves its tables twice a day to obey two different sets of national laws, and where one town contains 22 enclaves inside 7 more enclaves inside 2 countries. Welcome to Borla-Hertog and Borla-Nassau, the most complicated border on Earth. Today, we're taking a deep dive into how this geographical jigsaw puzzle came to be, why it still exists, and what it's like to live inside a real-world checkerboard of Belgium and the Netherlands. If you open Google Maps and zoom into the Belgian-Dutch border near the province of North Brabant, you'll eventually stumble onto a cluster of shapes that look more like a spilled box of Legos than an international boundary. Those shapes are the enclaves of Baal, 22 pieces of Belgium scattered inside the Netherlands. But that's not where the madness ends. Inside some of those Belgian enclaves are fragments of the Netherlands, which themselves sit inside Belgium, which itself sits inside the Netherlands. Yes, enclaves within enclaves within enclaves. This isn't some modern political accident either. It's the result of medieval land deals, feudal bargaining, and centuries of stubborn negotiation that no one fully unraveled. And honestly, that stubbornness is the only reason this wonderfully chaotic border survives today. So how did it happen? To understand Bali, we need to rewind to the 12th century, when Europe wasn't a neat patchwork of countries, but a messy chessboard of duchies, counties, and lordships. Back then, the area around present-day Bala was divided between 2 powerful landowners, the Lord of Breda and the Duke of Brabant. Instead of dividing land by straight lines, which would have been far too sensible, they traded parcels based on farms, estates, and feudal obligations. Basically, it was like, you get these fields and that mill. Okay, I keep this forest, but you owe me 12 hens every spring. Nothing was standardized, nothing was surveyed, and certainly nothing was planned with future borders in mind. When Belgium became an independent country in 1830, negotiators suddenly had to draw a clear border between Belgium and the Netherlands. But in Baal, neither side wanted to give up their historical land claims. So they did the only thing they could. They copied the medieval patchwork exactly as it was. Every parcel owned by Belgium became a Belgian enclave. Even if it was surrounded by Dutch territory, every Dutch parcel inside those Belgian parcels became Dutch again. And on it went. The result is the geographical equivalent of a family tree, where everyone keeps marrying their cousins. The border is so tangled that some houses literally have 2 addresses, one Belgian and one Dutch, depending on which door you walk through. To make things even stranger, the 2 countries put small white crosses and letters on the streets to mark the boundary. You can stand with 1 foot in Belgium and 1 in the Netherlands without even stretching. There are shops split down the middle, with products priced in euros on both sides but governed by different business laws, closing hours, and tax regulations. At one point, Dutch restaurants had to close earlier than Belgian ones, so owners would simply move their customers to the Belgian half of the dining room at closing time. Imagine living in a home where your bedroom is Belgian, but your kitchen is Dutch. You could, in theory, smuggle yourself across an international border just by dragging your bed into the next room. And yes, it gets even weirder. Police from one country need permission to enter the territory of the other, even if it's just a single house across the street. Historically, this turned Baal into a hotspot for smuggling. It was butter during World War II, cigarettes in the 20th century, and just about anything you can imagine. Criminals discovered that if they ran across the street into the other country's enclave, the pursuing officers had to stop at the border, which could be literally 3 meters away. In one incident, smugglers outran police by simply stepping inside a different living room. But these are old stories, and modern-day Baal isn't defined by crime. It's defined by cooperation. Instead of letting the border tear the town apart, Belgian Borla-Hertog and Dutch Borla-Nassau decided to act like a single community with 2 administrations. They share services like firefighting and utilities. Garbage trucks switch countries half a dozen times during their route. Schools host students from both nations. Even the sports teams mix citizens without worrying about which enclave they come from. The 2 municipalities hold regular joint meetings, and when new buildings are constructed, architects often try to avoid placing the border through a bathroom or a child's bedroom, though despite their best efforts, the boundary still slices through modern structures. One of the most famous buildings in town is a house with 2 front doors, one Belgian and one Dutch. The official rule is that your nationality is determined by whichever door is the primary entrance. Some residents have literally switched their nationality by installing a new front door a few meters to the left. The border even affects where babies are considered born. If the mother was physically located on the Belgian side of the house when she gave birth, the child was Belgian. Even if the father was Dutch and the crib was technically in the Netherlands, you can imagine how chaotic paperwork became before hospitals were standardized. But for all its oddities, Bali is a living museum of borders, a place where history's quirks and human stubbornness created something surprisingly peaceful. Tourists love walking through the town with maps in hand, trying to find the smallest enclaves. The tiniest Belgian enclave, named H22, is just a single house plot. You can literally drive past it without realizing you've crossed an international border. In most of the world, borders are lines of conflict, walls, fences, checkpoints, and political tension. In Bali, the border is a feature of everyday life, not a barrier. It's painted on the ground, photographed by tourists, and accepted by residents with a kind of amused pride. Instead of dividing people, the border became a community identity, an attraction rather than a threat. And maybe that's why Bali is so fascinating. It's a reminder that borders aren't always rigid lines carved by governments. Sometimes they're the messy leftovers of feudal deals, folk traditions, and sheer historical accident. And sometimes, instead of building a wall, people decide to turn their border into a curiosity, something to live with, laugh about, and occasionally use to escape closing time at a restaurant. So the next time you hear someone talk about complicated borders, remember that nothing compares to the swirling puzzle pieces of Bal Hertog and Bala Nassau, a town where countries are divided by white crosses on the pavement, where front doors determine nationality, and where 22 enclaves sit inside 7 enclaves inside 2 nations, all functioning peacefully. It's geography at its weirdest, history at its most stubborn, and humanity at its most cooperative. But Bali isn't the only strange border out there. The world is full of geographical oddities that make even seasoned map nerds scratch their heads. But more on that in future videos. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the planet's strangest borders, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more geographical history stories, and let me know in the comments, which bizarre border should we explore next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you